All right, I woke up this morning in a very good mood. And I woke up in a very good mood because as a single man, it's not very many opportunities in life in which you can clearly shoot your shot. And I got to say this right now. Red alert, single man out there. AOC is single. All right, this is a DEFCON 1. This is red alert. All right, single, politically aware, progressive men across America. She is single. I had to put the clarion call out, but you're gonna have to beat me to her, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. It's just
not
crazy.
Funny. This is like big news,
This is
particularly
huge
for
news.
you, Norris. But it is big news because she also has been obviously very openly freezing her eggs.
Yeah.
So we know that she's been preparing in some way, shape, or form, as we mentioned earlier, Jeremy. Perhaps to run for a higher office.
It does seem like she's gearing up to run for a higher office. And my personal headcanon is that AOC broke up with her boyfriend because she found some bad Reddit posts. And she's seen how these other progressives are treated when they find bad Reddit posts associated with them. So she's getting ready for Senate, president, whatever comes next.
She's cleaning house.
Yeah.
Cleaning
I gotta
house.
support it.
I'm with it. Listen, we see people do it with staffers. Boyfriend, that's just, glorified staffer.
You're not safe. You're not safe.
You're not safe.
Boyfriends of the world, you're not safe.
You're not safe. You know what I'm saying? So you better get it together. My question is, all right, who ends up with AOC? What type of person? Because Gage, our producer, said, what if it's Hassan Piker?
It's got to be like an inoffensive white guy, which was her ex, by the way. He was
say.
just like a regular white guy.
You know what? What if it's I'm gonna flip it. What if it's an inoffensive black guy?
I was going to say, Norris Howard is available.
I'm available. I am not declaring myself available for the boyfriend
Fill
draft.
out the boyfriend application.
Yeah, I am declaring myself available.
Best you clean up your Reddit history.
Yeah, I'm cooked. Like, yeah, I'm over for it, man. I've said fuck Thanksgiving. I've said defund the police.
He's got the Francesca Hong
yeah,
tweets. No.
abolish ICE. I've said it all,
Norris,
man. So I'm not eligible. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this latest episode of Point of Disorder. I am your host, Norris Howard, joined alongside our intrepid crew. To my left, we got Jeremy of Head in Office. What's up?
That's right. I'm back.
And we also got fan favorite Julie is here as well.
I'm back.
You didn't say g'day.
Oh, g'day.
Yes, our resident Australian. If you have not already done this, but you can also follow our show on all of your various social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the places where you would normally get all of your social media information at Point of Disorder, as well as at Distill Social. But there's one thing that I want to start, and in all seriousness, all jokes aside, I do want to talk about and give some props to some folks we don't necessarily give a lot of props to, and that's the Michigan Democratic Party.
Amen.
A round of applause.
A round of applause, because the MDP has stepped up and circled the wagons. We were wondering if they were going to do this, but in a big way, the Michigan Democratic Party, really in opposition to what we've seen nationally, has coalesced around all the major candidates that won from the primaries over the past week. That includes Abdul El Sayed, that includes Donovan McKinney, that includes Ellie Savitt for Attorney General, that includes Will Lawrence, that includes everybody. And it has shown that the Michigan Democratic Party is committed to retaining and flipping some of these really, really important seats.
And on behalf of Distill Social, I would like to applaud Curtis Hertel, who is the chair of the Michigan Democratic Party, who we've thrown a lot of shade at over the years, to be honest. So, we'd like to hands up. Well done, Curtis. You've done a good job in this case. There is, however, one person that is still throwing shade around. Who's that, Norris?
I don't know. Is it the governor?
No, it's Hillary Skolton. She still hasn't come out. I had to throw that in because, just because.
She's got no right to act like this. Abdul won her district by like 1 billion points.
I know,
what is she doing?
That's the weird part about that. And I know this is going to be a big...
Grand Rapids is Abdul territory.
It is.
He overperformed in Kent County like hard.
Yes.
Like it was kind of remarkable. And one thing I want to say is that in the hours directly after the the primary election, you had Mallory Monroe, who came out like at like
Introduced
2 in the
him,
morning,
yeah.
you know, and then showed up the very next morning in front of the Spirit of Detroit. Haley Stevens then endorsed him immediately that same day,
Yep.
and then the rest of the party at large. And I want to say, because they had a big event at Renaissance High School in Detroit, the entire MDP, which included Jocelyn Benson, the nominee for governor and current Secretary of State, Garland Gilchrist, the lieutenant governor and current nominee for Secretary of State. And when I tell you that that room was so geeked up, anytime even a mention of Abdul was said, it's incredible. It's pretty incredible. One big thing also in the past 24 hours of us recording this is that the Michigan Democratic Black Caucus has also come out to endorse Abdul El-Sayed, which is massive because we know that he did not win the city of Detroit, which is the largest black electorate in the entire state. And that's going to be big as he moves forward into this general.
Can you talk a little bit more on that, Norris? Because I know that's something we've been talking about for a while now, and you've been very heavy into, like, you know, obviously Detroit, that's where we record this particular podcast, and how, you know, you knew that there was an issue with regards to black voters and Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. Can you talk a little bit about how important this particular endorsement is?
Yeah, it's vitally important, right? Because when you look at Detroit as an electorate, in 2016, I believe it was, they voted for Hillary Clinton, but the state voted for Bernie Sanders, right? So the Democratic Party is staunchly and heavily involved in and has its grip on the black vote in Michigan. And so to have the Black Caucus come out and endorse El-Sayed is not only just a vote of confidence from, I think, the black electorate, but also a vote of confidence from the machine. It's the platform, it's the apparatus, the party itself saying that, okay, the people spoke, here is the candidate, no more flim-flam, no more, you know, backbiting. It is going to be wholeheartedly endorsing our candidate. And I think what I've heard on the street anecdotally just from black voters in Detroit is that that's what they're going to do. El-Sayed is the nominee and they're going to ride with him because I don't envision anything that would cause Detroit to vote for Mike Rogers.
Yeah, give me a break. You know, black voters are not voting for Mike Rogers.
and black voters of those who do vote, they will come out. And so I expect that Detroit not only will go for El-Sayed, but I expect Wayne County as a whole to come out very strongly for the Democrats in the general.
We've got to be happy with that. I mean, it is a big bloody deal.
Yeah, and
really
I want to ask a question to y'all before we kind of move on, particularly to Jeremy. Do you think Michigan is kind of showing the rest of the country kind of what the formula is here, right? Because when Zoran won and the, you know, DSA backed candidates won in New York, everybody kind of hand waved it away. So it's New York. Of course, the progressives are going to win in New York. They're hyper left in New York. But Michigan is known as like the national bellwether. The way Michigan votes is usually how the rest of the country is going to vote.
I think it's still sort of an open question because we don't know if Abdul's going to win in the general, right? Like that will answer a lot of the questions that are still remaining for us. But I think it's a little complicated because usually if you're a regular candidate, if you're an establishment candidate like Haley Stevens, for example, you rely quite a bit on outside spending or just donor money to come in and help like juice your campaign up, right? It's why she got so close and almost won. But if you don't have that, if you're a candidate like Abdul, you have to be a really excellent communicator. And a lot of people, like, it's hard, right? It's a skill. And so while Abdul might be giving like a sort of template for other more like swing state or even red state Democrats to run statewide, it's not easy to match his talent, right? True. Like Zoran, generational communicator. Before that, Obama, generational communicator. Abdul, I think, is one of those guys that is just really, really good at selling a message and selling it with a sort of moral urgency that gets people to his side. And I don't know if you can just take that and paste it somewhere else, because not everyone's going to be like Abdul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think like the politics around it, opposing big money, rejecting corporate money, rejecting APEC and that sort of thing, I do think that is a salient message. That is aligned with the Democratic base. But like we saw in Wisconsin, like we might see elsewhere, it's a matter of if you're a disciplined messenger, if you can get that message out, and if you sell that message in a way that actually gets turnout over to your side with as little mistakes as possible.
Yeah.
And I think Abdul ran probably the cleanest campaign imaginable, like very few mistakes. And I don't know if that's replicatable elsewhere.
So it's really interesting because I don't know if you heard, there was an interview recently of Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. And she basically said about this particular race and about Abdul al-Sayed that he was a new age modern candidate. And Hayley Stevens wasn't. She's basically in the old, living.
She is in the model.
I mean, I guess.
I suppose of what we kind of view as a traditional Democrat.
Yeah.
And I find that very interesting that somebody like Hillary Clinton would say that, because I view her as we made her in a lab in terms of Democrat. Like, what is what is a Democrat? Hillary Clinton.
But also on top of that,
Yeah.
she was giving advice as to how he should, run in terms of the general election.
Rich.
Very fucking rich since she's lost.
Lost Michigan twice.
Twice.
In 2016. Lost it twice.
2016. Yeah, exactly.
Only won it in 2008 because Barack Obama wasn't on the ballot in Michigan.
Facts. Hard
it's
facts. Hard facts.
Give me a break, dog. Like, I don't
Hard
know.
facts. Yeah. Well, and Julie, you brought something up that I think is very critical about particularly the Michigan election, because as we know that this is going to be one of the most hotly contested states in the general election, but we also know that Donald Trump has deployed DOJ agents to polling places in Detroit. Julie, can you share that information with us?
He has. So the conversation obviously is around how safe is our election, our general election is going to be. We have one of our incredible volunteers, Connie, basically spent 2 weeks, I think almost 3 weeks, volunteering at polling stations around Detroit during the primary. And she reported in to me that on Tuesday morning, which is last Tuesday, Election Day, I was at the Northwest Activity Center in Detroit.
Word, I used to work there.
Yep. When two gentlemen walked in, flashed badges, and identified themselves as the Department of Justice.
Interesting.
They sat in a public viewing area for an hour or so. Before they left, they walked over to the chairperson in each precinct. There was 5 precincts that were represented there, flashed their badges and questioned them. So that raises to me, what are they preparing for? They were just observing, they were questioning, but what are they preparing for in terms of the general election in November?
Some kind of intimidation campaign, I'd imagine. I mean, if they're scoping out these sites now, when it's just a midterm election, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's gross, is what it is. It's gross. And the first thing I want to tell y'all, as an electorate, is that no one can stop you from voting. Okay? That is illegal. Okay? So when you approach your polling place and you got everything in order, there is not one person who can stop you and say you cannot vote. Let's get that out the way. First and foremost, voting is right afforded to you by the Constitution. They can't stop that. Now, will they try to, and pardon my French, fuck with you? Yes. So get ready for that.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. There is no real verifiable reason, particularly in Michigan, which has had our elections run so well that we can get as granular to, the tenths of percents in how close some of our elections have been. We have had incredible elections here. Word to Jocelyn Benson, who has made our elections even safer than most of the country, particularly because it's constantly under scrutiny. But this is a thing that is going to affect the rhetoric around this election, that's going to affect how many people show up, because people get nervous. Listen, if you're somebody who, I know people who are nervous because they got too many traffic tickets, who got too many parking tickets, who are just like, hey, man, I don't know if I go around and be around a whole bunch of police like that.
And that's part of it, right? It's the scare tactics. It's fear. And so if you're a brown or a black person or someone that's recently become a US citizen, there is a lot of scare tactics that go around that. But I think we should probably hear from Ty Cobb, who was... in the first administration, he was the special counsel to the White House. So he's been very, very highly tied to Donald Trump over many years. You might recognize him as the man with the really...
incredible facial hair.
I
gotta give it to him.
He kind of looked like a mix between like Colonel Sanders and the Pringles man.
Yeah. Got to hand it to him, even though he helped the evil.
Yeah,
he helped evil in the past.
He stayed in character. He stayed in character.
The character is a lawyer.
Yeah.
He looks like an attorney to me. It's like maybe an evil attorney. But anyway, he was interviewed recently by Mehdi Hassan on Zatio, and I think it's worth listening to.
6.
Is there any world in which Todd Blanche stands up to Trump if he's asked to find some fake evidence of voter fraud? Or are we screwed now?
We're screwed.
How bad?
So we're screwed, apparently.
Cool. Great.
Fantastic.
Anyway, I just think, I mean, I know it's really easy to just say, no, our elections are state by state, so it's hard to interfere.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that Trump was so desperate to get Todd Blanche in as the Attorney General that there's a reason for that.
They're going to try something, as they've been trying to pass the SAVE Act and whatnot. And I will say, as scary as it is, maybe to end this little segment off on a lighter note, I will say that as like a raw political matter, it's not a very good sign electorally for you when you feel the need to do this, right? Because if he felt like he was just going to win outright, he would shut the fuck up and say our elections are more secure than ever because of me, right? Like I remember in 2024 when he was sort of gearing up to make like election fraud claims, he just stopped when the polls were like turning towards him in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He just stopped talking about it completely. So it's not the kind of thing you do when you are confident that you are going to win in the midterms. So, I mean, while it is scary, while it's certainly like an encroachment on our constitutional rights, I do think it's a sign of extreme weakness.
And it just reminds us, though, that everyone has to get out and vote.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Don't take anything for granted.
If it's a mandate, then if it's a complete referendum,
too big to rig, as he likes to say.
Exactly.
10-point victory,
Exactly.
too big to rig. Like, I think then you will see some of that rhetoric tamped down.
Can we throw some shade on Mike Rogers, please?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Fucking cracker, yeah.
From Florida.
Yes, Florida cracker, yeah.
Because we do need to remember that Mike Rogers, who is running as a Republican
From Florida.
In the U.S. Senate race here in Michigan, basically said that he was not behind, or he did not believe that 2020 election was stolen. So he was not like that. But Jeremy, what did he do then?
Oh, he switched up like recently, I think. Like he recently started saying, yeah, there were election regularities, and like even though Trump won on the same ballot I lost on, I think there was voter fraud somehow. And Trump started saying that too recently. Trump, I think, was saying like, oh, it was too big to rig for me, but Mike Rogers actually won.
So this is all in 2024 when he lost by a very, very small margin to Alyssa Slotkin. So he's basically turning around and saying, yep, no, it was rigged.
Yeah.
And so look,
incredible.
Just watch this space, because I think there's just a lot of bullshit that's going to happen over the next 3 months that we have to just be really aware of.
Just another thing on Mike Rogers, man. He's trying to do this thing now that Abdul El Sayed won, where he's like, oh, I'm just a regular Republican, like I'm just a family man, and we can come together.
Yo, did you see that video he put out?
Yeah, where
him
his
and his
wife's
wife?
a hostage.
And they're just literally
video.
sitting there, and his wife, and I normally don't talk about people's appearance. It's not about her appearance, it's about her demeanor. She's literally sitting there with the angriest face imaginable. This woman, it looked like the hate was emanating from her pores.
He used her as a prop. Like, I'd be mad too.
I saw it as a hostage situation.
Yes, it
where
looks
she was
like it.
literally
100%.
like hold up the newspaper with today's date on it.
Yeah,
But
it
Mike-
was crazy.
He's trying to do this like this shtick where he's like, I'm just a normal guy, and Abdul is this like extremist. So if you feel uncomfortable, you can vote for me. It's like, dog, you have switched up your beliefs in like the last 3 years. Like, why would anybody trust you whatsoever?
He believes in nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believes in fucking nothing.
Well, sticking on our primary kick is we also had one of our fellow Great Lakes states, Wisconsin, that had a big primary the other night. And it was also very interesting, the results. So obviously we were looking at this to see if the sort of progressive wave would continue. And it kind of half and half. In Wisconsin, where you had the Democratic Socialist Francesca Hall lost to the moderate option David Crowley over a margin of 4,000 votes.
Incredibly slim, yeah.
That is a block.
Yep.
That's a singular city block of people that decided that election.
I remind you once again how important it is to vote. It
Yes.
is a matter. If you think your vote doesn't matter, fucking look at the results of some of these elections.
Super
They've been
tight.
so tight.
Super
Yeah.
tight. But on the other hand, Peggy Flanagan.
Yes, Peggy Flanagan won over in Minnesota,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
so we also see over there. And, I just want to say this before we get deeper into what happened. Y'all, please stop looking at Polymarket and Kalshi to make any decisions on these elections.
Oh, yeah, total bullshit, dog.
Please
Total
stop.
bullshit.
Right? They had Francesca Hong at what 95% shoot in to win this election, and that is so stupid.
Yeah, no, using Polymarket or Kalshi to make like determinations about anything is dumb as hell, especially because like it's not a representation of what voters are thinking. It's a representation of what people with money to spend online are thinking.
Yes.
And to the extent that it's rooted in anything, it's rooted in polling, which you can just go look at yourself. And in this case, the polls were entirely wrong.
Yes.
So it's like, no, don't use these things. It's a scam.
Yeah, it not only is a scam, but it is being used now as some sort of litmus test for how successful people's campaigns are.
Yeah.
And also, it's just not taking into account normal people because this is mostly online sentiment.
Don't you think some of this is because polling's so fucked now?
Yeah, people are
totally
looking for
fucked.
answers anywhere they can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
everyone wants to know the future.
That's
Yep.
right. Talk to your Uber driver. I mean, that's about as good as getting a fucking
I was about to say, at this
polling.
point, just, you know what I'm saying, go to your local crystal girlie and just get a tarot reading,
Might
and
as
it'll
well.
be more accurate than some of this polling and Kalshi and Polymarket.
Don't throw shade.
I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, you know, the moon and stars and the crystals might be able to be more accurate than what we've got so far.
I do also want to say on Francesca Hong, a lot of people are touting this as like, oh, this is the end of the progressive movement. And I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for this, especially because like, I never found Francesca Hong's campaign to be all that disciplined. They didn't really have any response to like
ran
the
no
woke
ads.
one tweets. They didn't run any TV ads.
Yeah.
Like I am begging my progressive challengers to run some goddamn TV ads, man. It's rough. But I will say, I do want to note the disparity or the bias in media coverage when it comes to covering these progressives running in elections. Because when Abdul won by just 1 point, there was a piece in Politico like literally an hour later saying that, oh, Michigan progressives didn't get the night that they wanted. But then Francesca Hong loses by a smaller margin, and they say, oh, the DSA left movement's completely over. Everything is done. Moderates are back on top. These people are so shameless, man. So shameless.
Joe Scarborough had the biggest boner this morning.
I believe it.
It's like, oh my God, he's so excited.
But
all of a sudden, all of his dreams have come true. A progressive is lost.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody that is like in favor of like the insurgent left is making the argument that progressives are going to win literally everywhere all the time always.
Right.
They are saying that like the message is better, we can build a better coalition, we can get more done, and it tends to be popular. That doesn't mean that like a Francesca Hong is going to win all of the time. And on top of that, like the coverage, the disparity in coverage between Abdul's win and her loss is just so insane to me, man.
And I don't think we can ignore the fact that her opponent was awful.
Yeah.
So that's the other part that's kind of like, oh, well, what the fuck are we doing? He was like pro data center. Like the guy was like a terrible candidate.
Didn't
so
he
at
say
the
that
end of
we
the
need to
day-
stand on the mountaintops and court the venture
Venture
capital?
capital, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a sentence I never want any politician to say ever, of any ilk. Well, you know, speaking of very important issues that are going to be coming up in Michigan, because obviously this is not just about the people. It's not just about the seats that everybody wants to win. There's also a myriad of issues that are going to be down ballot. One of the biggest in Michigan is going to be MMOP, that is Michiganders for Money Out of Politics. And Julie, you have an update for us on this one that is pretty interesting in terms of how the Republicans are trying to sort of co-opt the narrative and the strategy around this.
I do, Norris. I think the one thing we do need to remind everybody of is that Michiganders for Money Out of Politics is a ballot petition that is, if it goes on the ballot in November, people will be able to vote on whether or not we should be able to, basically the companies like DTE, Blue Cross Blue Shield, are able to actually donate money in political campaigns to the actual people that are going in to legislate and regulate them. So it's a reminder as to, going back to what we were talking about before, money in politics is such a big bloody issue, and it's how we end
It's a
up...
V issue, I would argue.
It is, yeah. That we end up with such mediocre candidates oftentimes is because they generally have more money and they're bought and paid for by big companies,
have other
big
masters.
corporations. Exactly. So this ballot petition, which we collected about 600,000 signatures for earlier this year, many of our listeners will have helped
God's
do that.
work, yeah.
God's work, fucking God's work. So what the GOP is trying to do in Lansing, Matt Hall and his merry men, are basically, they are considering at the moment actually adopting and putting that money out of politics into legislation. putting a bill up. And what that will force all of the legislators to do is to vote on that. So we need to make sure that we contact every one of our personal, whether it be the Michigan State Senator or Michigan State House Representative, and let them know we do not want this to be taken up as a bill. We want this to go on the ballot in November so that every Michigander gets to have their voice heard in terms of this particular issue.
Yeah.
The reason that is so important is because if they do take it up and they put it forward as a bill and it comes into a legislation in Lansing, they will actually trim it back.
Yep.
If not, it'll be really easy to
They'll water it down.
overturn.
They'll water it down.
They'll
They'll water
make
it down.
That's the
They'll-
whole point of doing it.
Exactly. And there is precedent to this. They've done it before and they'll do it a fucking again.
Yeah, one of the big ones wasn't it the minimum wage
One
bill?
fair
That's
wage,
right,
yeah.
one fair wage
wage
and
was
paid
done with
family
this.
leave. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That happened. That's happened previously. So I cannot emphasize how important it is that we contact all of the people that represent us in Lansing and make sure that they hear our voices, tell them that we do not want this to become a bill. Because I think as a normal person, you think, oh, well, they're going to take that up. That's fantastic. We don't have to worry about
Thank
it
God,
anymore.
yeah,
No, that's not what they're doing. They're doing this so they can basically water it down and then ultimately overturn it. So we are going to leave in the show notes. There will be a link for you to actually go in there to very easily contact your state senator and your state representative to make sure your voice is heard.
Yeah, one other thing I will mention on that, we talked about it before we started rolling. If the Michigan legislature takes the money out of politics ballot petition and does adopt an amendment and makes it legislation, makes it a law, rather than a constitutional amendment that we'd be able to vote on in November, then it is more easily overturned in the future.
Correct.
So that's the main reason we want this to end up on the ballot in November and not taken up by the legislature. Because if we don't get to vote for it, then they're going to turn it into law. And next time there's eventually a Republican trifecta, they're just going to overturn it.
They just
So,
need a simple majority
yeah,
to overturn
we gotta future-proof this. We have to.
legislation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is the difference, is that if it is voted on by the people, then it amends our Constitution.
Yeah.
It is a thing that elected officials will not be able to change. It is the same thing that would happen when everybody showed up to protect a woman's right to choose in Michigan.
Yep.
That got massive turnout. And so we need the same kind of turnout and the same kind of energy for something like Michiganders for money out of politics.
And can I just add to that? I think the other really important part about ballot petitions, which we often forget, is it drives people out to actually
Yeah,
vote.
yeah.
Because that's a my rights.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's not a person. That is a my rights versus not having
And
rights.
I'm going to engage my late father when he said in a 2-horse race, always back self-interest. At least you know it's trying. And ballot petitions are all about self-interest. And let me tell you, this is a bipartisan issue. People on the left and the right are both fucking pissed off about how much money is being poured into candidates by DTE, Blue
Yeah.
Cross Blue Shield, the
Yeah.
very people that are, that are basically robbing us at the moment.
And then
Yep.
also, like, don't fall for the okie doke too, right? Because what'll end up happening is that if this is adopted and passed through the legislature, then you will have a group of Republicans who now will be able to stand on, hey, y'all, look, we got rid of money in politics, when in actuality,
yeah.
they just kind of made a scuffed version of the bill that currently would be going for everybody to vote on. So again, call your local representative, call your senator, tell them that you don't want this to go through the legislature. You want to vote on it. That's all you got to say. I want to vote on getting money out of politics, not you, me.
Yes.
I want to vote on it so it can be locked in to Michigan's Constitution. Now we're going to shift gears, because money in politics also affects money in a lot of people's pockets. And one thing that we've been seeing is at the gas pump, because of the Iran war, people are suffering. And in New York,
Upstate New
York, there's a gas station that is asking people to twerk something to get 20% off of their gas.
Yeah, recession indicator. Yeah.
Recession indicator,
yep.
man. It's just like when the economy's bad, like sex work goes up.
Right,
Like,
exactly,
But
yeah.
this is we're getting close, y'all.
God, dude, it is so depressing. I thought we had reached the depths of like the Trump economy with like calcium poly market taking off, or the only way you can make money is by gambling now. But now we got people dancing just for a small, like, let's be honest, like a small discount in your gas price. It doesn't even return it to what it was pre-war.
No.
So, God, dude, it is so depressing.
But just reminder, we're in 2026.
Yeah.
So this is a big indicator of 2026. But it does show you how desperate people are. Like
Yeah,
at this
of course.
point, it's like, what are we doing? Okay, we're dancing for 20% off our gas prices. But we do have to remember just over the weekend, it was reported that Trump is so desperate to get out of the Iran war that he's actually willing to basically declare that we've won the war if the only thing that Iran does is open the Hormuz Strait.
Okay, so return to status quo.
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
but on top of that, though, remember there'll be nothing in terms of obligations around nuclear.
Well, of
No,
course not. Yeah.
Because it just goes to show you that meant nothing. That was not everybody thought that was the cause for getting involved in the first place. And now, if you're willing to capitulate on the thing that you went over to killing people for, that it was never about that.
But just remember that he overturned Obama's agreement.
JCPOA,
Yes.
yeah.
He
yeah.
overturned that. Then now we've ended up with expensive gas prices that people are happy to twerk to get 20% off.
Right.
And no,
Right.
and no,
Right.
and no
Yes, yes,
nuclear
yes.
deal whatsoever.
With no nuclear, so we're not safer, but we're poorer and more publicly humiliated on
Yeah.
TikTok. Basically,
And of course, like thousands of people have died for no reason.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
And
all
we've
of
made the
that.
region more unstable for no reason. We've gained nothing. I think we've essentially like hit the bottom of like a couple of our munition supplies. Like
Yes.
a complete and utter waste of everybody's time, resources, and lives in some cases.
and pissed off the rest of the world.
And piss off. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. Also, a report came out that a number of sailors have reported deplorable conditions on the warships because they have not been able to resupply because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So, again, the entire
Stupid bullshit.
yeah,
Like,
it's just so
fucking
stupid.
dumb.
But the entire concept of all this continues to just be for this man Trump's own vanity, because all he wants is to be able to fly in on the F-16 and land on the aircraft carrier and say mission accomplished the way George Bush did in 2001. And Iran is not giving them that because they are under they have no auspices to be able to
They're winning.
give. They're winning.
They're winning.
They have no reason to capitulate to any of his demands.
They've got all the power, and
Yeah.
every time he says something, agrees to something, then they just raise the stakes. It's
Right.
just fucking constant. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Imagine running up to somebody you don't like, punching them in the face, and then for the next 20 minutes getting your ass whooped. And then laying on the ground screaming, "That's enough. That's enough." Could you imagine?
And then saying you won.
I win.
And then getting up and saying, "I won." Could you imagine such a thing?
Yeah.
No, you couldn't. And that is exactly what's happening with Trump and the Iran war. And he also wants to get out of this because it is the single thing that is pushing his base and the Republican base away from him.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be Mr. No New
Yeah.
Wars, and now he is Mr. War. And it's causing all kinds of issues across the country.
It is kind of remarkable, though, that we rename it the Department of War, then instantly get smoked.
Yeah,
Just right
I
away
know.
lose a war, man. It's so incredible.
It's so ridiculous, man. But last thing I want to end before we head out is we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the Birmingham teen takeover. You know, apparently, if you haven't seen this, a viral video being shared around all across Metro Detroit showed a group of teens in a full blown Donnybrook in the middle of downtown Birmingham, which caused a lot of people to flip the narrative, shall I say.
They were clutching their pearls.
Oh, my
Norris.
gosh.
So we just do need to explain to people. So Birmingham is a wealthy suburb in
Yes.
Oakland County,
Yes.
just outside of Detroit,
yes.
within Metro
I
Detroit.
believe one of, if not top 3 wealthiest suburbs in the
Correct.
entire state.
And to tie into that, there has been a lot of narrative pretty much over the summer, maybe even before that, about a lot of the teen violence in Detroit. People are getting their knickers in a knot. And
Oh,
there's
yeah, I remember that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this has been going on for a while. Now this has happened. Tell us about it, Norris. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Because Norris and I had an online conversation about this on our personal
So-
Instagrams.
So the thing is that when the teen takeovers were happening in Detroit, everybody's first reaction, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody north of 8 Mile, all of their reactions were, oh my God, this is so terrible. Look at all this violence. Detroit will never come back.
Crime-ridden hellhole, yeah.
Crime-ridden hellhole, Democrat-run cities. The businesses will leave. Dan Gilbert will stop building his giant tower.
Bring back the flock cameras.
Yeah, bring back the cameras. Where are the police? What is good? Where are the parents? All that stuff. All of the usual dog
Detroit
whistles.
is not safe. That
Detroit
was very
is
much.
not
I'm
safe.
not coming downtown.
Yep, Detroit
Not
is
safe.
not safe. All the dog whistles, you guys. They rolled out all the hits from the 90s. You know what I mean? That's what it was. But this here happens in Birmingham. I'm not hearing none of that. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing all those kids get othered. All those kids they're not from Birmingham. They were bussed in
my
from
God.
somewhere
Yeah.
else, paid actors.
Own it.
I'm like, no, those are your kids.
Yeah.
Those kids were as white as anything, and I myself was looking, like zooming in and going, I'm pretty sure that there's
Not the CSI zoom.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, some of those kids look familiar. There is like, they were not bussed in.
No, and this remains to be my point when it comes to this stuff, is that if you are going to criticize certain communities about certain things, keep the same energy when it's your community too. All right. If it's going to be the businesses are going to leave downtown Detroit because of teen takeovers, it needs to be the businesses are going to leave downtown Birmingham because kids keep fighting each other. But you're not going to say that. No. And you know why you're not going to say that. And so I just challenge you to use some intellectual consistency and just be a little bit more objective.
There's no way
folks.
Lululemon is leaving downtown Birmingham.
Hell no. Absolutely not.
But I think it also goes to the point that we have to remember that kids are kids.
Yes.
And there is a lot of shit that's going on in the economy right now that is impacting kids, and we've got to remember that they're being impacted by this as well.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter in which socioeconomic or which neighborhood you live in.
Yep.
At the end of the day, kids are suffering, young people are suffering, and they're pissed off, and they're going to be the ones that will come out again, hopefully, in November for this
Hopefully.
election.
Hopefully.
It all
and,
comes around.
and I'm glad you brought that up, because I just want to express there has never been a generation of people ever since there's been people where teenagers did not beat the living crap out of each
They're
other.
hooligans.
That is
They're
what
hooligans. That's what they do.
That is part of the teenage experience.
Yeah.
I just got to be honest. For young men, that seems to be part of the experience. At some point, you will be involved in a massive brawl, whether you ask for it or not.
Their frontal lobe is not developed. Their tolerance of risk is fucking sky high. It's the highest it's going to be ever. Like, it's been proven by
and
science.
then also, if you're getting concussed on a regular basis, then, I mean, what do you expect?
And it's the school holidays. Everyone's like, and they're bored. It's been going on for, I don't know.
Nobody
There's so
works
much
at
shit.
Dairy Queen no more.
No.
Like, I'm just saying. That half
Kids can't get jobs no more, man.
They
Oh,
can't get jobs, man.
Trump's economy.
All the
Yeah.
immigrants have taken their jobs.
Exactly.
So true.
Well, anyway, that's going to be the show for today. As usual, you can follow us at Point of Disorder on all of your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and more. TikTok as well. That's a big one. TikTok's important. Jeremy, anything about that you want to say to the people, and where can they find you?
You can find the podcast Head in the Office on just about every platform. We're at Head in the Office on also all of like the social medias and whatnot. Check it out.
And Julie, you get the last word.
I just want to remind everybody, please give us a like and a follow. But also, if you could, on our podcast, whatever platform you're listening or watching us on, please give us a rating and a comment, because that is free and that helps us with the algorithm. Really, really like you to do that. And if you'd really like to listen to our real thoughts, Gina and I do G&T time every other week, and you can access that via Patreon, which we'll include in the link as well.
There you go. So from everybody here in the studio, we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.